In this video, I'm going to show you my new favorite way of quickly coming up with dungeons to run for my D&D game, and also how to draw a super simple, really great looking battle map of that dungeon. Alright, so I finished writing the Dragontown zine. If you want to hear all about that project, I got a playlist linked down in the description. I'm super excited about how it's turned out so far. I'm very, very proud of it. And I've started playtesting the game with a few of my friends. And instead of running Dungeons & Dragons 5e, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I'm using an OSR system called Knave. Super simple rules. It's only 7 pages long. I'll have a link to that down in the description as well. And then I'm supplementing some of those rules with another game by the same creator called Maze Rats. And so far, it's been very awesome. But one of the coolest things about Maze Rats specifically is that most of the rules are these random tables. So a page is for creating characters and NPCs, a page for creating monsters, a page for creating the city and the dungeon. So it's just a bunch of these tables that have, I guess, 36 options. It's 6 columns with 6 options each. So you roll 2d6, and if you get a 1 and a 6, you go to column 1 and you pick the 6th option. Super easy, very fun to roll on. And that is how I'm going to be creating this dungeon right now. So I'm just rolling on all these tables, making a list of the words I get. And the really good thing about all these options is that they're very simple and vague, and they're meant to spark your imagination, not dictate what the actual dungeon is. So if there's a word that pops up and it doesn't get your imagination going, I just rolled again. And I don't think I had to do that more than one time. So yeah, it takes 5 minutes, and now I have these 12 words that I can construct my dungeon out of. I wasn't planning on it, but based on these words, it actually ends up being a fun little side quest that could easily be a part of the Dragontown adventure. So here's what I came up with based on these 12 words. So a vault with all of its resources gone got me thinking that this has to be a dwarven crafted vault from long, long ago and has since been plundered of its treasure. If it's set near Dragontown, the Shadespeare Mountains are north, so that would be a perfect place for the adventurers of Dragontown to go searching for this vault. And actually, Oracle made me think of, there is a dwarf cleric in Dragontown. Right now his name is Carl, like Carl the cleric. That's gonna change. I still haven't figured out all the names to the NPCs in Dragontown yet. It takes me so long. But maybe Carl the cleric is the one that sends you into the Shadespeare Mountains looking for a book that is in the record room that, you know, belonged or was written by some oracle of whatever religion that he's a cleric of. Since there's corpses and this is a dwarven vault from long ago, maybe the entrance is guarded by a bunch of dwarven ghosts that maybe try to scare people away from their treasure that no longer exists there. Unusual smell, crumbling walls, and spider webs. That's an easy one. There's a bunch of giant spiders that have come up from deep beneath the earth and have burrowed their way into this vault. It's always good to have some sort of natural enemy to fight the adventurers, trying to scare them away from these giant spiders' new home inside the vault. So there's magic painting and summoning, and maybe somebody who was using the vault to store this magic painting accidentally summoned some great evil, and that's the reason that all the dwarves are gone. And for choking dust, I thought it'd be cool if one of the vaults sealed itself shut, you know, as like a safeguard, and filled up with poison gas, so if the players break into this vault, maybe there's still treasure there, but the room fills up with this poisonous choking dust. So yeah, the next step, super simple. I just do a quick, very rough little sketch of the dungeon, the layout, just so I know like what rooms are where and how it kind of looks. And you know, I'm a visual person, so I need some sort of visual representation of this dungeon, even if it's just a super crappy little sketch with some notes drawn in here and there. This sort of thing thing really helps me when I'm running a dungeon like this for my game. So yeah, you can stop right there. This only took me 15 minutes and I have a perfectly realized dungeon that I could run for my group, and it only took 15 minutes. That's awesome. But I'm gonna go one step further and actually draw a battle mat that we can use with miniatures. Even though my group and I are still playing online, I wanted to draw something really big. So I'm gonna draw a battle map of this ancient dwarven vault. So one of my favorite purchases is this giant pad of blue lined grid paper. I love this stuff. You know, I can save them for later in case I ever want to run this dungeon again with a different group. Or if it gets messed up and I have to remake it, it's not that big of a deal either. I don't know if you've noticed, but my favorite kind of look is just white paper with the light blue grid on it. That's my favorite. So I start with a pencil, just lightly blocking in the dungeon rooms where the hallways go. I don't trust myself to go in straight with a pen, so I'm using the pencil to plan things out just a little bit, really lightly. But to actually draw this map, I'm going to be using these Posca paint markers. I love these things, especially this big fat 5mm bullet tip marker. I use this to draw the mural in my studio. This marker is so awesome. It just flows and moves, and it has nice dark black ink. I love this thing. So I'm starting with this bullet tip marker, blocking in all the thickest outlines, starting with the outer walls and some of the big doors. You know, I'm not doing any fancy drawing for this map. You know, it's just about being slow and following the grid, but I'm also not being too careful or too strict about my lines and making mistakes and stuff. You know, this is a map that probably will only be used once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. So I'm not worried about every line being super perfect and precise. Just having fun drawing. I'm also leaving all of the rooms blank so I can just put this map down on the table, you know, so the players can see the whole dungeon, but they don't know exactly what's in each room and what's around what corner and all of that stuff. I probably shouldn't have drawn in the painting in the final room. I like to start simple and add detail as I go. So, you know, I'm kind of thinking of this sort of cylinder in the vault as the record room. So this cylinder is actually a towering round bookshelf that has all of the records of what's in the vault, and maybe this is where Carl the Cleric's book about his oracle is located. And as things get more detailed, I move down to the smaller size Posca markers. You know, I thought it would be fun to add this sort of dot stipple texture to the cave that the giant spiders are coming from. That way it sort of differentiates the cave section to the dwarven built vault section of the map. I'm going to use the gray marker on the top parts of the walls just to indicate a little bit of depth, make the map pop up a little bit. There's a lot of different techniques like this that you can do. This is something I usually do on the computer, but since I have all these different colored Posca markers, I thought I might as well just throw some gray in there to give the map a little bit more depth. And I'll add a little bit of color to the doors. So there's big stone doors that are blocking the entrance to the vault, and then there's also a few wooden doors in there. Nothing fancy. I think literally the most complicated thing I've drawn on this entire map is the fallen ladder that is for the round record bookshelf thing in the center of this vault. So my point is, you don't have to have any crazy drawing ability to make an awesome looking battle map like this. If you have some graph paper and some pens, take a little bit of time, you can do it and it'll look awesome. And the very last step I'm doing, and this is extra, you don't have to do this, but for some reason I got in my head, I just wanted to add these little blue hatch marks all around the dungeon. I think it looks super cool and old school looking. You know, we're playing this old school revival game, so to have a big old school looking map just feels right to me. So this texture is super easy to do. You just do 3 little hatch marks and then kind of rotate and do 3 more, and they sort of like offset and create this pattern. It does take a while, so you kind of have to get in like a Zen mode and just go for it. If you do this pattern, I do recommend using a thinner lined marker or a different color like this blue. I found that doing the hatch marks, like if they were the same thickness of the wall, it gets kind of crazy looking. So having the hatch marks kind of blend into the background makes the playable area of the map kind of pop up, and it makes it very clear, you know, where the players can move their miniatures and where is like solid rock inside the Shadespire Mountains. And there we have it! The Dwarven Vault inside the depths of the Shadespire Mountains. Battle map. Ready to drop on the table and have an awesome D&D night. Yeah. Alright dudes, I hope this little 2-part dungeon creation video was cool and helpful. I'm just so impressed with these Maze Rats random tables. I'll leave a link down in the description to where you can get Maze Rats. I think it's $2.99. Super worth it. Very fun little game that I am excited to be running with my friends, testing out the Dragontown zine. And I can't believe I just created a fully fleshed out dungeon in like 15 minutes. And then the actual map only took me about an hour and a half, and most of that time was doing the little blue hatching. So super quick method for creating a usable dungeon battle map as well. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you're still here watching, I super appreciate you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!